was a very sweet woman, a wonderful mother, and we were poor. My dad made $20 a week, $10 of which went for the groceries. But as an example of how she was with her children, we had what was known as the Hill in Wichita, where the more affluent people worked. And I met some of the children up there, some of the girls, when I started to college. And so, take it back. I guess I was still in high school. And so they asked me to go to the movies on Friday night, which was a big deal. And I told my mom, movies in those days cost $1.
Really?
Yeah. And, maybe that allowed for Coke, too, I don't know. And anyway, so my mother said, here, Virginia, I want you to go with those girls. I want you to have friends like them. And here's $1. I've been saving it for face powder, but you can have it to go to the movies.
Wow. And how old were you?
In high school.
So,
17.
So these girls were affluent girls, like rich girls, and were they your friends, or?
They became my friends.
They
yes.
did?
Yes.
And do you attribute that to going to the movies with them? Like, because you were able to afford their entertainment?
Well, in a way, they asked me to join them for the movies. I don't know that they intended it to be a steady thing or not, but it did become that. There were about 5 of us that ran around together.
And you met them at school?
Yeah.
You hung around mostly
in high school? Yeah.
Okay, so your mom, she was generous and very giving.
And she was a wonderful cook.
Oh,
She and my aunt, they made bread, they put up jam, they canned green beans. They were both wonderful French cooks. Everything had a gravy with it. Everything was just wonderful. Like a gourmet cook today, people get out recipes for gourmet dishes. My mother and aunt cooked that way all the time.
And where did they keep all this food?
We had a basement.
Can you describe the basement for me?
Basement. Well, in Kansas, if you'll remember the Wizard of Oz, you'll remember they had a cyclone there.
Yeah.
And so they started out as cyclone cellars. But people enlarged them. Some of them made rumpus rooms out of them. My mother had a Maytag washing machine down there.
And what did that look like?
It was up on legs, and she always waited till midnight to wash my dad's shirt for work next day. Even though he was a shipping clerk, he wore a shirt with a tie and nice pants every day, and a hat.
And a hat. Okay.
And I told her that he was very handsome. In fact, he had worked at a company where they manufactured overalls and work clothes, and they chose him to be the model on the pamphlet that they set out. And he was very handsome. And now, getting back to my mother, she was very jealous. And one time I remember my dad was helping a boy across the street build a bird cage, a bird house, which he had to do for Cub Scout activities. And Mrs. Phillips, who had been a teacher and a
women, she was just jealous of women, or jealous of his time with anything. So jealous of other women.
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said, he was very handsome. And even Mary Lou's mother, they lived across the street, and she was a model down at Innis, and she thought my dad was very handsome too. So it was kind of an obstacle.
Because your dad was helping this kid across the street build a birdhouse, and the mother kept. Would you say the mother was flirtatious, or do you remember? How old were you then?
I never saw that. I would say I don't remember.
How did you know Grandma was jealous? What did she behave
Because
like?
she started haranguing my dad. Saying, I know you're not going over there just to build a birdhouse. And he may or may not have been innocent of it because, as I told you before, I didn't see him till I was 2 years old.
And when you saw him at 2, did he move back in with you right away?
Yes, yes.
And then he stayed with you. So your mom probably just had her mistrust
She never forgave me, whatever it was. I never really heard exactly, but
So they were already married, and then she booted him out probably, or he left. But how did he end up down the street?
Well, it was an empty little house. He had to live somewhere. He had a job.
So they were together, and then, but he moved in by himself somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
And then anyway, my mother was very sweet. She taught me how to read. She used some of the techniques that even when I became a teacher, I still used. We were still taught those techniques. Look at the pictures, what's happening in the pictures, and sounding out the words. Although I was a look-say reader, really.
Look-say reader? Oh, you didn't sound them out?
No. And I remember...
That's pretty smart to be able to read like that.
Yes. Anyway, but getting back to when I was 3 years old, I got my first party invitation to Mary Lou, who lived across the street, to her birthday. She was 4. Now, I didn't know Mary Lou because I was only 3 years old, and I wasn't allowed to cross the street or go over there and play or anything like that. And so then the invitation said, and you may bring your mother. And I thought that was so sweet in later years, And so we went to party. I don't remember anything about the party. But I also remember when I was 3 years old, we lived near Kellogg Street, which was a major route through town, and later on was on the Route 66. And it was pretty busy even in those days. And I went down there and crossed the street by myself. And how old were you? 3 years old. And I said to the man, "Get me candy."
You went to the store?
Yes. He said, "Does your mother know you're here?" No. So he took me home because we didn't have a phone. I don't know what my mother was doing while
I was going to say, where was Mom? She was probably baking, cooking,
maybe
taught us.
napping.
Did you have a backyard?
Yes.
Backyard?
A nice backyard.
So you just decided to walk out the front door.
Yes.
So would you consider yourself an independent? I know you consider yourself an independent adult. Always. Would you consider yourself assertive and independent at 3, or just a little kid and didn't think what you were doing?
I had to be to go up to this man and demand candy.
You didn't have any money?
No.
Give me some candy. Say you still like candy to this day?
Instead of smiling and giving me some candy, he yelled at me.
He did?
And then I began to see the seriousness. And so he took me home, and to punish me, my mom put me down for a nap. And then she gave me candy because I cried so hard. Even then I knew that was not very good parenting.
So she was also very soft, and she wasn't a huge disciplinarian.
No.
She was really loving, and
Yes,
would you say you took advantage much of that, Virginia?
Well, I didn't realize I was doing that. I was taking advantage of her. But there weren't a lot of stop signals along the way, like, oh, Virginia, you don't ever go down there and cross that busy Kellogg, you know. Nobody ever said that. They never thought that I would.
And this street, Kellogg, was in Wichita?
Yeah.
And were there cars? You were 3, so this was like 1928.
Yeah. Oh, sure, there were cars, and
There were busy cars along that route even then.
yeah.
Okay. So I think we're going to stop now.
Okay.
Because I'd like to, start it right away.